Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to have you all stay seated, though, for this portion of it. So just hang tight and keep enjoying your lunch. Good afternoon, and welcome to Rotary Club of Seattle number 4. I'm Beth Knox, your club president. As we convene today, we respectfully acknowledge that we do so on unceded Coast Salish land, specifically the ancestral land of the Duwamish, Suquamish, Stillaguamish, and Muckleshoot tribes. We acknowledge and pay respect to the first peoples who gathered here, to elders past and present, and to all Indigenous people. Now, if you were here last week, you heard the news that we lost our fellow Rotarian and past president, Todd Sommerfeld, to cancer. One of the greatest gifts Todd shared with us over the past 18 months was his deep commitment to living life joyfully. Today, we are here to honor that commitment with a tribute to Todd and all that was special to him. Past President Kim Moore will offer today's inspiration as a celebration of Todd's life. And in lieu of a moment of silence, the Seattle Rotary Rogues will lead us in song. Kim Moore.
Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians and guests. I'd like to start by welcoming the family of Todd Sommerfeld, wife Jane, daughters Janet and Ellen, and son Daniel. Thank you for being with us as we honor Todd. Todd Sommerfeld, past president, 37-year Seattle 4 Rotarian, was an exceptional member of our club. He stayed engaged at the highest levels for almost 4 decades. Todd loved the outdoors, and my interview to be his program chair was, of course, a walk. Serving with Todd was one of the best and most fun things I have ever done. I am humbled and heartbroken that he asked me to come full circle and lead our tribute. Recently, we created a word cloud for Todd that's projected on the screen. Hopefully you see it. There it is. Todd was touched by your words of appreciation, which reflect the pillars of his life: family, faith, and fellowship. He lived with integrity, humility, gratitude, and joy. When Todd spoke of you, Jane, and the children, his eyes would shine brightly, and he would break into his slow, beautiful smile. Todd's response to unbeatable cancer was to say, "I have lived a great life." His courage and grace were extraordinary. To honor Todd's love of music, we will sing Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, led by Linda Ruff and the Rotary Rogues, but first, a short poem by Mary Elizabeth Fry. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glints on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in the morning's hush, I am the uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. And now, Linda, would you please come and lead us in song?
Up, please. Thank you.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. chariot coming for to carry me home. Well, I looked over Jordan, and what did I see? Coming for to carry me home. A band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Well, if you get to heaven before I do, coming for to carry me home. Tell all my friends that I'm a-comin' too, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim and the Seattle Rogues. I know that would have given Todd great joy. Jane, Janet, Ellen, and Daniel, you will forever be part of the Rotary family. Thank you for being here today. Now, shifting gears to, actually, everyone may be seated. Thank you. I'd like to thank also to our meeting reporter, Pete Delaney, classification retired marketing and public relations professional, and our Zoom host this week, Eric Corning, classification cultural events. And we have a wonderful cast of guests who have joined us today. So as I say your name, if you would please stand so that you can be recognized. We've already recognized Jane, Janet, Daniel, and Ellen Sommerfeld. Thank you so much for being here. We have Steve Garfing, guest of Janice Weinmiller and past president of Paulsbo Rotary Club. Thank you, Steve. Stacy Kendall, guest of Linda Lowry. Welcome. And Midge Kraft, guest of Don Kraft. Midge, we're so glad you're here today. Thank you. And Vipin Singh, guest of Jaime Mendez. Vipin, welcome. And Gina Kilbridge, guest of Matt Albertson. Welcome. And one of our soon-to-be new members, Evan Fronilovich. Evan, welcome. We're excited to have you officially join. Thank you. Okay, each month we recognize our members celebrating the anniversary year of having joined Seattle Rotary. Please enjoy this month's anniversary video. All right, congratulations to all of our anniversaries. And we have two first-year anniversary members here today, Chris Schultz and Catherine Darley. Catherine, I'd like to give you your badges.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Now, on the other end of the anniversary spectrum is Seattle Rotarian Don Kraft, who is joining us here today. We're so grateful for that. Now, if you know Don, you also know that he has been a member of Seattle Rotary for a very long time. This week is not just Don's 74th anniversary in Rotary, but it is 74 years of perfect attendance. Congratulations, Don. You are a treasure and an inspiration to us all. Now, Rotary International has invited all clubs to submit nominations for District Governor 2025 to 2026. Nominees must be brought forth by a past president and then voted on by club members. Candidates must be a member in good standing who has served as club president for at least 6 months, and they must demonstrate willingness, commitment, and ability to fulfill the duties and responsibilities. Now, we have one individual who has expressed interest, Jeff Borick, who unfortunately is, for us, traveling overseas and couldn't be with us, but he asked me to share his statement of interest. Throughout my Rotary journey, I have always strived to be open to opportunities to serve the Rotary Club of Seattle, our local community, and Rotary International to the best of my abilities. My journey began when Seattle 4 selected me to join District 5030 Group Study Exchange, where I joined with 4 other young professionals on a life-changing trip to the Midlands of England back in the late 1980s. This was a professional development experience for my early career, and it established a foundation that allowed me to join this club in 2000. I became your club president, supporting the good works of Rotary in 2020-21. During my year as your pandemic president, my leadership team advanced our club in multiple positive ways while facing the strong headwinds of a global COVID crisis. With your support, I'm willing to submit for consideration by the 5030 District Governor Selection Committee to continue my Rotary journey. Thank you. Now, at this time, I would like to invite any past president to submit a Seattle 4 candidate for nomination from the floor.
President Beck, I'd like to nominate Jeff Ford for consideration for the 2025-2026 District Governor.
All right, thank you, past president and past district governor Kathy Gibson. Do we have a second?
I second that nomination.
All right, thank you. At this time, we will call for a vote. Our Zoom host lunch will launch a digital poll for the online members. But for those of you here, all those in favor of approving Jeff Borick as candidate for nominee for District Governor 2025-2026, please confirm by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Congratulations, Jeff. We appreciate your ongoing support to service and willingness to step up. The vote is approved. All right, now our meeting business is wrapped up. I am so pleased to introduce the presenter of our short program today. Shana Deitch is Senator Patty Murray's Seattle Metropolitan Director. She previously worked on President Barack Obama's campaign and at Seattle City Hall for Council Member Deborah Juarez. Please welcome Shana Deitch.
Good afternoon. So good to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited because, well, first of all, I want to thank President Beth Knox for allowing me to be here, and I also want to thank Jonelle Johnson for the kind invitation. It's really an honor to be here, and I'm so excited because, you know, Senator Murray shares so many of your values. I was looking at your website, and what struck me was the focus on service above self. I would say that really embodies Senator Murray's values. And Seattle Rotary makes big things happen, and so does Senator Patty Murray. As a senior member of the Senate Appropriations Committee and current chair of the Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions. There's a lot to cover. I promised Ken that I would keep it under 8 minutes, and I will. But there's so much happening right now, and you know, Congress right now is a broken place. We have the closest Senate, and what I mean by that is there's an even split between Democrats and Republicans. Democrats are not in the majority right now. There's 50 Democrats and 50 Republicans. So it's the closest Senate we've had in over 20 years. It is hard to get things through, and Senator Murray is fighting for Washington State and getting big things done. I know that Representative Schreier was here a few weeks ago, and she spoke to you about the fall of Roe v. Wade and what's next. I want to build on what she talked about to the Rotary. You may have heard that yesterday, Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina introduced a 15-week abortion ban. His bill calls this late term, but we all know that 15 weeks is well before viability. And Senator Murray has been warning since the day of the Dobbs decision that Republicans will not stop there. They want a national abortion ban for everyone in every state, and they want to force women to stay pregnant no matter what women want, no matter their circumstances, and no matter where they live. And right now, Senator Murray is saying that all of their talk of returning this issue to the states is not worth a single cent, because they've made it crystal clear with this bill that they are coming for abortion rights in every single state, including states like Washington, which do have strong abortion protections. And so right now, this is extremely chilling. This is one of our top concerns, and Senator Murray is going to be fighting back at every step of the way to protect the right to abortion. Thank you. I want to talk about things that are happening more locally. One of the things that we're really excited about right now is that last year, the Congress brought back what was formerly called earmarks, but installed guardrails to make sure that the money is spent appropriately and to make sure that there's not corruption in this process. Last year was the first year that congressionally directed spending went out, and I want to tell you about some of our victories right here in Seattle. We had hundreds of applications, and we were able to get 11 projects in Seattle funded, including, I'm going to read you this list because it's so exciting. It's not the full list, but we got $1.67 million for the Chief Seattle Club to open All, which is it's just a few blocks away from here. If you haven't been, it's incredible. Is permanent supportive housing for folks who are urban natives. And so there are 90 new apartments in that building, and it just opened, and they are being filled right now. And so we're helping get people off the street and make sure that they have access to the services they need. We also got $2.5 million for the electrification of the Seattle Ferry Terminal, $3 million for the Youth Care Academy, which is workforce development for young people who need it most. We also got $1 million for UW for an early learning hub in the Rainier Valley. And then we got $1.5 million for the International Community Health Services to construct an adult day center that's going to have memory care inside. We also got $850,000 for the YMCA for their Matt Griffin Community Navigation Hub, which is going to have integrated health and social services, and then $250K for Page Ahead to give books to low-income students. They gave out their 4 millionth book. And I got to see these kids picking the books themselves to take home for the summer so that kids who don't have the ability to get to a library when school is closed to have books to read over the summer. And Senator Murray did that. And then this year, we're looking even bigger at even bigger projects. So we have not been able to pass appropriations bill yet. That's going to hopefully happen here in a few months. But what we do have in the appropriations bill right now, $2 million for MLK Labor to have a virtual hiring hall so that they can post all of the good paying union jobs in one spot where people can find them. And $5 million for the Seattle Indian Health Board for their Thunderbird Treatment Center. $4 million for Just Care to get homeless people off the street and into housing. And then we're also really focused on small business development in communities of color. So $1 million for El Barrio in South Park, $900,000 for Tabor 100, $650,000 for the Urban League, and $200,000 for Ventures to focus entirely on business development and minority communities. It's really exciting stuff. Another thing that we're really excited about is on Sunday, you may have heard, the West Seattle Bridge is reopening. Yeah. Senator Murray secured $38 million. She fought so hard to get this funding to be able to reopen this bridge because we know how important it is to reconnect the community. And then since we're talking about infrastructure, we were able to pass the bipartisan infrastructure law. A lot of politicians talked about infrastructure week. We actually got it done. And this is going to rebuild our roads, our bridges, and our rail system. It's going to expand access to clean drinking water and ensure every American has access to high-speed internet. We're also going to be tackling the climate crisis. One of the coolest provisions in this is there's a 50% increase to RAISE, which is the Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity Grant. This is a grant program that Senator Murray created, and since 2009, she's gotten $360 million for Washington State, including $20 million last year for Seattle's East Marginal Way Corridor project. And then also in this bill, we just secured $15 million to revive 3 bridges here in Seattle, including the Spokane Street Viaduct, and then the bridge that's at 15th Avenue and Leary Way. It's really important to make sure our bridges don't fall down, right? And then we also got another $38 million for the ferry boat program, which is going to benefit us here in Seattle for folks who take the ferry to Bremerton or Vashon Island. And then I want to talk about the Inflation Reduction Act. This is a really big deal. This is going to dramatically lower the cost of prescription drugs, and it's going to keep healthcare costs down for people in Washington State and across the country. And it also makes historic investments in climate to tackle the climate crisis and lower energy costs in the long run. And it's all paid for simply by ensuring that giant corporations pay their fair share. And lastly on this, it's very exciting that this will also reduce the deficit by $300 billion. Some of the provisions that are in there that folks are most excited about, it's going to finally allow Medicare to negotiate lower prescription drug prices. This is something Senator Murray has been fighting for many years. And then, that's going to bring costs down for patients and generating enormous savings for taxpayers. It's also going to cap Medicare beneficiaries' out-of-pocket prescription drug costs at $2,000 a year and insulin at $35 a month. And then the last thing on that is it's going to cap the price increases on prescriptions at the rate of inflation so that drug makers can't jack up the prices to just juice up their own profits. And this is going to help more than 1.4 million Medicare recipients in our state. And then it's also going to extend the healthcare tax credits that were in the American Rescue Plan. And then I also wanted to talk very quickly about our judges. Am I good on time? No? Okay. I'll just tell you one more thing. This Congress, we have confirmed more judges than any other Congress since the Reagan administration, and that includes amazing historic appointments. Yesterday, we confirmed the 6th federal judge from Washington. His name's Judge Salvador Mendoza Jr., first Latino federal judge on the Ninth Circuit Court from Washington. We also confirmed Tana Lynn, first Asian American on the Washington Federal Court, and then Lauren King, the first Native American federal judge from Washington. So many exciting things happening. Ken, I'm wrapping up right now. Thank you for having me. I'll stick around. I've got cards, and if you want to chat, I'll be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Shana. That was fantastic. We love hearing what our senator is doing in D.C. and here in Washington. Thank you. Okay, so next we're going to move to our main program, after which we will have time for Q&A. Here at the Rainier Club, we will have roving microphone handler John Steckler and to spot questions, while our VP of Programs, Ken Grant, will monitor the Zoom chat for questions. And speaking of Ken, here he is to introduce our guest speaker today. Ken. excuse me, that would be the Prince of Programs, Ken Jeff.
Wow. Wow. Hello. Hello. Welcome back to the Rainier Club. I like this place. So, who here has been to more than 42 countries in their life? Show-offs. Our next speaker is not just a very dear friend and not just the executive director of the Washington Filmworks, but she did 42 countries in 2 years. In between being a publicist, a film publicist, so she's been in this business a long time, in LA and New York. Then she took some time off to do 42 countries in 2 years, which that would be its own really interesting speech, I think. Now, since 2006, she's been with Washington Filmworks. I'm going to make this fast so you can get on with the stories. She's overseen 126 projects in that time, which values to about $447 million in economic development dollars. But that also adds up to 24,800 new jobs. So without further ado, I'd like to invite my very good friend, Amy Lillard, up to the stage.
I was very young when I did the 42 countries. I also just want to say I'm 32, right? Thanks for the introduction. I have to say it's interesting to be here because Ken actually did Washington Filmworks brand with us so many years ago. So what you're going to see when you see that logo there on the bottom, that's all Ken Grant's doing. So, well, thank you for letting me be here, and thank you for being such a warm, welcoming group. I have to say I'm doing something completely new today. I've made a new deck. I've jazzed it up. We'll see how it goes. I have no idea how long it's going to be, and there's a trivia contest. We'll see. But I have the great pleasure of being the executive director of 2 organizations that support the creative economy in Washington State. The first, as Ken said, is Washington Filmworks. We have 2 divisions under that umbrella. The first is we run the production incentive program. So that means that we financially support projects that film in Washington State. In addition to that, we run the official state film office, where there is an abundance of resources, locations, databases, film liaisons, all kinds of things. So we like to say that if you are looking to film in Washington State and have a camera in your hand, we're your people. So if that happens to be you, we have an abundance of resources for you. And then also, I run a second organization, which who doesn't think it's a great idea to launch another nonprofit during the pandemic? That was a great idea. And it is called WhipSmart. It is a business trade association to support all creatives in Washington State with business resources, what we say is information and inspiration. So information being business resources and networking, a little bit like this, although not as lively, I have to say. Like, you guys are a lively group. And then we also have inspiration. We have an incredible, creative people are inspiring people. And so we introduce the community across the state of Washington to all these creatives. So, we do profiles of them. They talk about how they're making a living being creative and all of those things. So, be ready for the trivia. It's brand new. Okay, look at that. So this is brand new for me. I wanted to just start with has anyone in the room seen any of these films? Nice. I love it. Okay. So these are some of the iconic films that Washington State is known for. Lassie Come Home was filmed, as you see, in 1943, and that just so happened to be during World War II. The location is Scotland, and so it wasn't a real good idea for MGM to go to Europe during World War II, so they decided to come to Washington State. They were trying to double a key location of a Scottish loch, which they used Lake Connaught. They also filmed in Lake Chelan, Chinook Pass, Pacific Beach, and of course Seattle. You'll see that reoccurring theme in these iconic films. It happened at the Parallax View, 1974. Adapted by a novel of the same name by a Lauren Singer. The script was actually inspired in part by the assassination of John F. Kennedy. And of course it stars Warren Beatty. It's a political theater, or Political theater, that's a completely different film. A political thriller about a TV journalist that witnesses the assassination of a presidential candidate. Does anyone know where that assassination happened? What was the location in Washington that it happened? The Space Needle. Interesting, when the film opens, there's a journalist there, and he's holding a Como TV microphone. So it happened at the World's Fair is actually the subject of our first trivia question. It stars Elvis Presley, as you can see on that poster. It features all of the iconic locations in Washington, or in Seattle: the monorail, the Space Needle, of course, the Freedom Fountain. However, our trivia question, and I don't know how this is going to work because we've never done it, but Ken's going to help. And I think if you know the answer, raise your hand, and he's going to choose someone so I don't have to. So the question is, what now famous actor made his big screen debut as a kid in this movie when he kicked Elvis Presley in the shin?
Goldie Hawn's boyfriend. I'm an old man, I have green cards.
I know. I mean, I think he gets it. That is absolutely, it is Kurt Russell. It's Kurt Russell. I love that the famous actor is Goldie Hawn's husband, right? I love that. Interestingly, he was so scared to kick Elvis in the shins. Apparently, Elvis paid him $5. So, I want to talk a little bit about what the film industry here calls kind of the golden age of the film industry here. What you're seeing here is some kind of iconic 90s films. I just picked a couple. Practical Magic being one of them. I think we all know how, I mean, it's a beautiful film. It was filmed out on Whidbey Camino Island, and interestingly, they came here because it was set on an island off of New England, but they had to come here because of weather, which I don't understand. But the house where the witches lived, that was actually an architectural shell. So it wasn't an actual house, and it was built on rented land. And what was interesting is that everything that was created that you saw on screen was fake. So the blossoms on the trees, all of those things, it was all scrapped after the filming of the movie. But what I love, there's a ton of stuff that films out on Whidbey, so I find myself there a lot. And all the locals still talk about it. They talk about how Coupeville and like the main drag on Coupeville, they painted everything white. And they didn't particularly care for that, so they made them paint some of it back. Sandra Bullock apparently liked to play pool with the locals at Toby's. And there was many Tom Cruise sightings because he was then married to our beautiful and lovely Nicole Kidman. So that was like kind of the highlights I get from them. And then I'm not really supposed to share this because it came from someone who worked on set, but I want to chat a little bit about Northern Exposure. Northern Exposure filmed here between 1990 and 1995. The primary location was Roslyn, and they also had a film studio in Redmond. And so in Redmond, they, put all of their interior sets and they built them there so that they could film year-round. But as the story goes, there's a scene in one of the I can't believe I'm going to tell this story. There is a scene that features the running of the bulls with all of the male actors in the film or in the series, and some extras. It was to celebrate the first day of spring and the end of winter in the show. It was cold. It's interesting to remember as I go through the story. It was cold, but it was sunny. There was snow piled up on the side of the streets. Actor Rob Morrow, who was kind of a kidding kind of a guy on the set, he played Dr. Fleischman, double dog dared the other actors and paid extras to run naked down the street. As you can imagine, the chief of police was not pleased with that. So they had to atone for their nakedness with the city council. And let's just say that the city of Roslyn had a brand new fire truck from the production with a big bow on it. So I just want to go on the record and say that doesn't happen anymore in Washington State. We're all above board now, but back in the 90s, it was a little crazy around here. But I actually got that story from Vicki Berglund Davenport, who's on my team, and she actually was the location manager on the show, so I know it's totally legit. All right. So who remembers when Seattle started looking a lot like Vancouver, BC? Yeah. So in the late 90s, Canada started, implementing these very lucrative incentives. And so what happened in the industry, we all called it runaway production. Well, the United States, as we all know, it likes to be competitive, and so here we go, right? So the United States has similar incentives in place now. At one point, when I first started, I have been here a long time, which is amazing because I'm only 32. Which would make me 15 when I started. But I've been at this job for 15 years, and Washington State was actually the 6th incentive in the country to come online. There's been as much as 46 states with these incentives. We're about down to the middle 30s now. But the reason why we do it is because it's good economic development. I mean, you see films come in, they employ a lot of people. About 50% of a budget is paid for cast and crew, and the other 50% is with local businesses. They spend lots and lots of money. But you don't need necessarily the biggest incentive. You need a competitive incentive. So this is what we were able to do, as Ken had alluded to, of our economic impact with the $3.5 million. I cannot name 132 projects, but I'm going to name a couple in the course of this presentation. However, I'm very pleased to share that during the 2022 legislative session, the funding for our program increased from $3.5 million a year to $15 million a year. It allows us to be a lot more competitive in the region, with Oregon to the south, who has 20, and Montana that has 12. So it's nice to be in the game. And we had this really fun experience with the board of directors, and we talked about what the difference would mean. And just to give you an idea, we used to financially support about 3 or 4 films. This new money will allow us to support all in 1 year 4 feature films, 3 episodics, and 3 projects by local directors. So it's a lot more, and it's going to generate a lot more the future film here and things like that. Oh, I don't know why that did that. The most exciting thing for us is that the program was also extended to 2030. So watch out. You're going to see a lot more film in Seattle. So one of the underserved conversations that doesn't get a lot of media attention in Seattle is the fact that we run the State Film Office. I wanted to just bring it to your attention because here comes another trivia question. I wanted to bring it to your attention because these are smaller budget productions that are mostly location driven. And so this is where we see a lot of filming outside of our production centers of Seattle and Spokane, because we do have those 2 production centers. So it's wonderful that our communities are such great hosts. I'll tell you the story about American Grit. Did anyone ever see that show that was short-lived with John Cena? Yeah. So this is, they filmed down in District 2, which is Eatonville, Washington. And it was, it's a show where there's 8 men and 8 women, and they divide up onto 2. I mean, I would never do this show. I mean, I wouldn't even do any show. But 8 men and 8 women, they go into 2 teams, and they have military-like challenges, right? So they descend, 100 crew members descend on Eatonville, Washington in November, and all of a sudden, they are abseiling down waterfalls. They are carrying logs through the streets, and they did this crazy thing where they built this, for lack of a better word, obstacle course, and they're doing this all in the rain, right? The community would take their chairs out and sit and cheer the teams on, right? Bruno's, the restaurant out there, stayed open late to accommodate their late schedules. My favorite anecdote from that particular show was that John Cena, he's kind of a bulked up kind of a guy, and he didn't want to miss his workouts. So the guy that owned the gym just gave him his key. He's like, go on whenever you want. So John Cena would be working out about 11 o'clock at night. So, but a really good example of how the communities around Washington just embrace film also. All right, here we go. I have a trivia question for you. Washington State is known, we have seen like every car commercial in Washington State. We have incredible locations. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I mean, all the curvy, beautiful roads next to water, through forests, I mean, it's amazing. You'll see right there, it's an example of one right there. However, I'm gonna ask, what famous actor, here we go again, appeared in a Lincoln car commercial that filmed on San Juan Island? Cool.
Said somebody's wife. Is that right?
It is indeed Matthew McConaughey. So what you're getting, Nicole, I got you. We'll go to the movies together. So what we're handing out is the SIF Film Center. They're a gift certificate to the Seattle International Film Festival community. They have 3 venues here in Seattle, and we appreciate you enjoying that. So I will tell you too that Matthew McConaughey's yacht that he required was coming in from international waters for that show on the San Juan. And so I spent most of 2 days of my life as the film commissioner trying to find another yacht for him. Never a dull day in what we do at Washington FilmWorks. Okay, how are we doing on time? 7 minutes. I'm gonna skip over this.
Welcome,
You can't see it. We have the film office. It's great if you ever need help filming. Look, I'm skipping through. Okay. Behind the scenes locations. So here's just a few photos from our locations database. As you know, we have some of the most beautiful locations ever. You know, we did an indie sci-fi movie out on the Olympic Peninsula called Prospect, which I appreciate, and you should like check it out. It's made by a local group. We blew up a boat in Whidbey Island for Z Nation. East of the mountains, we filmed in some apple orchards, like really beautiful locations. But the reason I wanted to bring this slide up is because locations are our office. We aren't your typical 9-to-5 industry, right? This is where we do our work. So, you know, we work out of motorhomes, we work on streets, we, you know, when a location manager goes out to find a place to film, they are thinking about where are my people going to park? You know, over 100 people, where am I going to park my people? Where am I going to put those honey wagons? Where are we going to eat lunch, right? All of these things kind of factor into where we film in Washington State. And so, of course, it's a very high impact situation. And, you know, we stop traffic sometimes. We bring big trucks in. That is a mouthful. And everyone that you see, and sometimes we're a little bit disrupted in community, everyone you see are people who live and work in Washington. They're just doing their jobs. So if you see them, honk and wave and say hello. All right, I'm going to skip through. Those are projects that came. I want to make sure that I have enough time. Oh, I've never done this either. I feel like I might get in trouble because I feel like all the projects that we fund are like our children and we're not allowed to have favorites, but I always get asked for recommendations. However, the most popular question that I get right now is about Maverick. Who has seen Maverick? Okay, who liked Maverick? I loved it. I loved it. Okay. So where did I put that? Okay. They did film here. They filmed out on Whidbey Island. Again, just another indication of how much happens out on Whidbey at the naval base. And they flew out 8 jets, 2-seater jets, and they did a little bit of movie magic. They put Tom Cruise and the big stars in there. They had professional, obviously, naval pilots. And then they put the cameras in the jets, and it looks like they're actually flying the jets, but the Naval Air Station was like, no, you're not flying the jets. That is not your role. But that is, and then you see in the trailer and you see in the movie that they are flying over the North Cascades. No one's going to get this question, I don't think, but this is the third and final trivia question, which is Maverick, while in Washington State, had a code name. Went by a code name. Does anyone know the code name? This is a little insider baseball. Okay, I have a backup, but it's also a hard one. See, they got increasingly hard. But the code name was Island Harbor. That was what it was. But the follow-up, which I also think is hard, so I'm not a very nice person, I guess. But the other one is, of these films, one of them had a Best Actor nominee in the film. Who was it? Yes, she got it. That's great. Oh, Captain Fantastic. So just a quick notes about these Washington films. East of the Mountains, I'm just suggesting because it's all local talent. S.J. Chiro is a local Seattle area director. It's based on a novel, by David Guterson, who lives on Bay Ridge Island. Snow Falling on Cedars is another book that he wrote that was made into a movie, and it stars our very own Tom Skerritt. The other one is Captain Fantastic, which is just a beautiful movie. I would like to say if you're married and you're having a husband-wife date, it's a great movie for that. If I do say, I mean, I'm not married, but which sounded like I was trying, no, it doesn't matter. But it's this love letter to like families and things like that. So if you have like a night out, like open a good bottle of wine, have some popcorn, it's a great at-home movie. And then finally Z Nation, which is kind of a cult classic. It was 5 seasons. It filmed in Spokane. It's a zombie apocalypse, right? It's beautiful. 4 out of the 5 leads, by the way, from Washington State. Okay, do I have any more time?
4 minutes for Q&A.
I have 4 minutes for Q&A. I'm gonna be done. But I have to say, where's Karma? Is she here? Okay, so I just have to say we were having trouble with my PowerPoint, and yesterday, this is my favorite thing. So I'm not gonna show it, but we did this, like, give a girl a zombie for marketing. I mean, come on, right? So we went to the Capitol and we made a zombie thing on the Capitol steps to try and get more money for the fund. But I was calling Carmen, she was trying to help me with my PowerPoint, and she's like, are you talking about the slide with the bloody girl? But I'm not gonna play it, but this is what it is. So anyway, are there any questions?
Any questions from the crowd? Come on. Oh, we got one here in the back, I see. Coming back.
3 minutes.
I love a crowded room. Here we go.
Do you guys offer grants for filmmakers?
It's interesting with the new bill, we can. We're looking into that now, especially with a focus on filmmakers from rural Washington. I would look for that to debut in early next year. I'm going to give one shameless plug, and then I have like 2 minutes for questions. We have a very interesting funding mechanism. So for any of your CFOs or CEOs, the way that we're funded is businesses with a business and occupation tax can choose to direct their tax dollars to Washington FilmWorks. You get a dollar-for-dollar credit from the Department of Revenue. There is no reporting practices, and there is no public disclosure. I'm looking for $9 million. In B&O, it costs nothing. We can either put you on our website or not put you on our website. But if you're interested in pursuing that, again, we haven't had to raise any more money. We've had $3.5 million since 2006, right? And now all of a sudden, between July and December, they're like, find $9 more million. And we're like, okay. So anyway, yes.
Bill, you got a question?
Yeah.
No, you got to talk to the microphone so the people at home can hear you.
Okay.
No. I mean the people on Zoom.
I love the fact that you mentioned Maverick, being a big Navy guy, but you didn't mention Unforgivable.
Nice.
So is there a reason for that?
I love them all.
You don't have a favorite child?
Nope. Well, I mean, I do. He's 15 and at school today, which I'm thrilled about. Unforgivable is a great movie. I have 1 minute. Does anyone have any other questions?
Got 1 minute for a short one. Here you go.
I want to make a plug for Cornish College of the Arts. Do you, by chance, provide internships for young filmmakers in the state of Washington who maybe go to a private art school?
Well played, sir. Well played. So this is the beauty about this bill that passed in Olympia. We weren't ever allowed to do any of the things to create that ecosystem for film. And so now we are allowed to do career-connected learning and workforce development and business development. So there is going to indeed be that opportunity under the workforce development umbrella. So thanks for asking. Thank you for letting me be here.
Thank you, Amy. We appreciate you sharing so many insights and great stories about the film industry here in Washington. And in recognition of the generosity of your time, Seattle 4 has contributed to Harvest Against Hunger, a nonprofit agency providing healthy meal components to food banks. 600 servings of healthy produce have been given in your name. Now, I just want to say thank you to John and Ken for fielding questions from our members. And our club greatly benefits, as you all know, from the sponsorship of several members. And I'd like to express my gratitude to our highest level of sponsors, Liz Powell with Remax on Market, and longtime Rotary supporter Bob Alexander. We have other supporters of Seattle Rotary, and they include Joel Farrell with Morgan Stanley, Dominic Musafia, Seattle Divorce Options, Jacobson Jarvis Certified Public Accountants, Matt Bratlin, NetTech Pro Bono IT Services, and for our tech support, Live Oak AV. Thank you so much. Now, here to share an update. Yes, thank you, John. Here to share an update on upcoming Rotary events is our VP of Membership Engagement, John Steckler.
I have to step right behind Beth. They got me on a short leash here. I only got 2 minutes, so let's go right into my slides. Let's see, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, right here, right up. Twitter? No, no Twitter. This is eating into my time, guys.
There we go.
Announcements. All right. Well, I was going to tell you about the ethnic dinner, give you a chance to sign up. I just found out from FEDVA, hey, this puppy just closed out today. It's full. Sorry. Moving on. Networking Mixer. This is still coming up on September 22nd. This will be at the Lodge Sports Grill. Please RSVP just so we can make sure that we've got enough food and everything there. So contact Mary. Next up, I want to make sure that everybody knows about the C4's Happy Hour. Also on September 22nd, 5 p.m. at Mary Johnston's Rooftop. That's a great opportunity just for some fellowship, not necessarily as strict a business card exchange. Also, September 25th, just a reminder again, this is Marilyn and Einar Handlin's Garden Dahlia Party with the how many dahlias? Does anybody remember? 700. Very good. I heard that. Doggone it. I don't have a prize for you, but you can feel good about yourself for once. Now, I got a couple of new ones coming up I want to tell you about. We have a whale watching boat trip. This is brand news. Thanks to our Rotary Mariners. Saturday, October 8th, 10:30, we're going to meet at Pier 69 and take our boat and go out and do some whale watching. But you do need to RSVP soon by September 19th. Stephen Moore's got that down. His number's in there. Check the totem. We have one other new one. Yes! Assunta, who is right here in the second table on the right, is bringing back her second International District Tour on Thursday, October 13th at 4:45. We're going to start at Seattle Best Tea. She's going to take you through a whole different tour of the International District, some very colorful places. We'll end up at Tai Tung, a very exotic, original Chinese restaurant. She's put together a special menu with the proprietor for $30. It's like 5 courses. It's amazing. RSVP to Assunta. There is a limited number of people. 8 courses for $30. Do I hear 9? Do I hear 9? Okay. 8 courses, please RSVP. That one will fill up too. I've done it last year. Bring your family, bring friends. Hey, better yet, bring a prospective member, right? Let's bring some members out and let's enjoy the club fellowship and let's grow our club. Thank you very much. My 2 minutes are up.
Thank you, John. Wow, we've got a lot of exciting opportunities ahead. And speaking of exciting things ahead, here is our Prince of Programs again to talk to us about upcoming speakers over the next month and a half or so.
2 minutes.
This is how it's done, John. Ready? Everyone on your table, you will see a short little piece of paper like this. I would recommend that you take it because every week now we're going to sell you on the upcoming programs. Next week is all about the next slide. Next week is all about pickleball. Pickleball in the prison system. This will be really interesting. Thanks very much to Mark for that. The next week after that will be Zoom, so not in the room, and that's all about extremism, hate, violence, the sort of stuff that I've stopped watching the news because of. I'm really not into like really heavy programs, but this could be like really, really shocking. Mark your calendars for December the 14th because we are also having the mayor of Seattle in, so that was kind of a big win, thanks to Beth. Take this with you and always be watching what's coming up because there's some really, really cool programs coming up. Thank you, Amy, awesome. Thank you for making me look good because goodness knows I love the movies. Thanks.
Thank you, Ken. All right. So, and I do want to just mention that both Amy and Shana will be here afterwards. If you have any questions for either of them, they are happy to do that. Now, over the last few days, our sports teams here in Seattle have experienced some crazy highs and delivered some magical outcomes. On Saturday, our Washington State Cougars, who were the 18-point underdogs on the road against a highly ranked Big Ten team in front of 80,000 hostile fans, beat Wisconsin with an incredible win. Meanwhile, University of Washington took care of business and dominated Portland State. On Sunday, the Mariners reminded us of the 1995 team who refused to lose. The normally reliable bullpen gave up 5 runs late in the game. Down by 1 in the bottom of the 9th, the M's rallied with 2 solo home runs to win the game against the hottest team in baseball, the Atlanta Braves, and take the series. And then on Monday, we weren't done. The Seattle Seahawks defied all predictions to beat the Denver Broncos, led by our former star quarterback, Russell Wilson. In the face of criticism and doubt, new starter at quarterback, Geno Smith, proved himself with 2 touchdowns in the first half to provide enough momentum that allowed our defense to win the game. Geno delivered the best mic drop quote of the year when he said, "They wrote me off. I ain't wrote back, though. We are adjourned."